Alright, welcome to Rookie Geek Gaming. How has everybody been? Well, it's good to be back. It's been a little bit of a break. If you've been following along, you might see a little bit of a change here. I think I wanted to change the look of this just a little bit, what I talk about. So it's more going to be a topic with a side of coffee and gaming. So anyways, today's topic, we'll talk about the non-aggression principle. Coffee is just so good. So what is the non-aggression principle? Well, it's a first principle, I like to say. Like at the beginning, let's start here. And this is kind of why I wanted to reboot the series and start at this point. So, the non-aggression principle is the concept of you do not initiate force without, unless it's, I guess, reactionary. So basically, you're not going out and intentionally taking stuff from other people, or you're not using violence to get what you want. So I think that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, that's I think what we're gonna start for today. I don't think I've played this one. Yeah. So the non-aggression principle. So then it comes out. Oh yeah. So basically, is it moral to use force to get what you want? So is it morally acceptable? Is it morally right to use aggression, force, violence to get your way? I think fairly straightforward. I don't even think it would be a surprise to say that no, it is not moral to use violence to get your way. It brings the concept of voluntarism into place. If you want to buy something from somebody else, or if you want what they have, you can offer them money for it. They might want to sell it. Like if you're selling a car, or if you want a car, you'll go online and you will look for said car, and then offer a price for said car, meet with the person, shake a hand, sign some paperwork, and that car becomes yours. You don't go online, look for a car, meet the person, and then take it from them, right? That would be using force to get your will. You might really want the car. You might think your whole life is predicated on getting the car or owning the car, but it isn't yours until you've gone through a voluntary transaction to make it your car. And that is, of course, the basis of the non-aggression principle. The other question that has come up is, the idea of universally preferable behavior. So it's universally preferable to not use force to get what you want. So, opposite of that would be using force to get what you want. So, if, say, could stealing be a universally preferable behavior? The answer, straightforward, is no. It could not. And the reason is, if I get everything I want through stealing, and you come and steal my stuff, well, then I can't I'd have a hard time arguing why I get to keep my stuff and then you do not get to keep yours if it's universally preferable. In fact, it would be borderline, well, you stole my stuff, so I agree to have my stuff stolen, in which case, can you actually steal something somebody wants to give you? Of course, the answer is no. So, where did I hear this? I got this idea originally from Stefan Molyneux. If I remember to link his site in here, I will. But I get a lot of stuff from Stefan Molyneux, so some of these thoughts are original, some are not. But I really appreciate what he does and all the work he's been putting in, and the content that guy puts out is incredible. So yeah, that is the concept of the non-aggression principle. Yeah, how do the Beastmen play? So, okay. So then the idea, self-defense comes in. So, is self-defense moral? Do you have a moral obligation to defend yourself from other people? So, I mean, it's an interesting. I start with 2. That's kind of neat. Yeah. So, is it morally, is it moral to defend oneself? I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward that if somebody attacks you, you have the moral obligation, the right, the indeed it's almost necessary that you do that. I would say. If somebody attacks you, I think it's a hard. I mean, why? How could you not want to defend yourself? So, morally preferable would be defending yourself. It's kind of a natural response. You push somebody, they push back a little bit, or at least they should, I guess. When somebody tells you to do something, it's natural for you to not want to do it for whatever reason. I think so. Anyways, so that's the non-aggression principle. Stefan Molyneux, he's coming right out, has talked about that. I think he makes a really good case for it. And so yeah, figured I'd come on here and talk about it as well while I aggress with my beast men. But these are orcs, so they don't count. So, now this is done. I guess I gotta go kill the orcs. Just don't have like a regular stance. This is kind of weird to me. Interesting. So anyways, yeah, I think we I'm so confused. Why is there not like a regular movement? So anyways, so the who, what, where, when, and why. So we talked a little bit about what we're talking about. So what supports the concept of the non-aggression principle? Well, laws do. Laws support it. In fact, at their very core, laws support it. So do not steal, do not kill. They're all pretty straightforward things. Should come as no surprise to people. So, this is very interesting. Well, that didn't go well. So, yeah. So let's see here. So, yeah. Morally, yeah, I guess that's a question of moral. Like, where do we get our ethics from, too? That might be another talk at some other point. But, I mean, ethics kind of come from value systems, and I guess religion is a good source of ethics. So when we remove religion from people, we kind of remove their ability to create ethics, which is somewhat fascinating. So, so what supports this currently? So laws support it. I guess actually jumping right into religion supports it. Speaking of Christianity at least, thou shalt not kill. Pretty straightforward as far as a set of behaviors. Do not kill. Yeah, I mean, that's about as straightforward as it gets, I think. The laws support it. Our current laws support privately owned, private ownership. People don't just come and take your things. You don't just go and take other people's stuff. What is yours is lawfully protected, and I think that is a highly important thing. It's kind of the basis of, I think people in their very essence are, we want what's ours. I don't want to use the word greedy, because that is, greedy. Are all humans greedy? It seems like there is, we want to keep what is ours. Is that being greedy? I don't, my gut says no. I don't know how you'd morally challenge that. So if I own something and you follow the non-aggression principle, nobody can just come and take it. So is it greedy to want to keep your own things? I guess no. Because the other person then wants to take it from you, and if they want to give you money for it, well, then you can choose the need of money over the need of the item being discussed. So the non-aggression principle basically supports that then. So yeah, that's actually very interesting. What's this dude look like? Oh, he's kind of he looks a little greedy. Yeah, so, like, what you own is yours. Do people have a moral right to take it? No. They can offer you money for it. They can try to make a deal, barter with you, but take it, they cannot. So, and our laws support that. You don't get to steal from people. You don't get to take their stuff. And thankfully that is a protected thing. And so likewise, There's been not all states have this actually. Check your local laws. But the concept of the castle doctrine. So, each man's home is his castle, and he or she has the right to defend it. So nobody can come into your home and, take your stuff. So I think that's a very interesting thing. Yeah, nobody gets to come into your castle and take your stuff. So I think that's a pretty awesome thing. Like I said, universally preferable behavior. Yeah, nobody gets to come into your castle and take your stuff. So that's universally preferable. This is going terrible right out the gate. So, so the where and the when. So, obviously, if you go into a boxing match with somebody, you don't get to claim the moral high ground, right? I mean, you're choosing to get into a boxing match with somebody, so that's how that works. That would be consensual. So. Yeah, football players don't have to follow the non-aggression principle. When that hood hike goes, you go. So, is it universally preferable that? Why don't you just flee? Oh, there's no just flee thing anymore. It's universally preferable to have football players want to rush each other when the plays go. So, that's how that goes. When somebody attacks you, I mean, that's another point. It's universally preferable. It's morally right to defend yourself. I think people have a hard time arguing that you aren't morally justified in defending yourself. I think that's a pretty straightforward one. So. Come on, just run, dude. Just get out of there. Survive. Oh, you're kicking the crap out of these goblins. That's for sure. Um, yeah. So the why of this. So why is the non-aggression principle important? Because I believe that if it's not necessarily right or moral to impress your beliefs upon people, and there is one agency in the world, or at least in America, that has a monopoly on the use of violence, and of course that is the government. Try not paying your taxes, and the government will send you nasty letters, send you nasty things, and then, yes, they will eventually take you to jail. Men with guns will come take you to jail. So the government is able to utilize violence to get what it wants. And that's important, because using the government to enact your will upon people is the same as using violence to get your way. So it's no surprise that people find that morally reprehensible. And honestly should. So yeah, they should find that morally reprehensible, right? Yeah, and people using the government to get their way. It's so yeah, it's bad. And that's why I think people get so up in arms. Like you talk about gun control, for instance, and pretty much it's the most straightforward of things. When people talk about when people talk about government abuse of things, they talk about gun control. Like, so is the disarmament of lawful citizens moral? Is it moral to disarm citizens? I think pretty straightforward. I don't know that you'd have a good case for morally disarming citizens. And they the children of Parkland and the shooting then being utilized as pawns in a political game. I think we can all understand their situation and the anecdote that is a school shooting. I saw a statistic, something like 500 people have already been shot in Chicago, but there aren't any marches for those people. So, when Eminem was cool, he used to say, his song went something like, "Middle America, now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see." And yeah, that's very different from from what we knew before. Um, before it was, um, yeah, middle America now. It's so sad to see. So, yeah, when it's because it's politically convenient, I think, to put it in those terms for people. So, yeah, using these children to push a message of political violence against people, to take something involuntarily, it is morally reprehensible, and you can believe that you're doing it for good because you want to lessen murders, or you're doing it because you want to make people safer. But at its core, you are forcing your will on people through the use of violence. Um, and I think a lot of conservatives see that. I think they know that. I think they understand that, and I think nobody is surprised that they find it to be a problem. Um, yeah, the great divide of the left and the right. So, so that's where we're at with the non-aggression principle. I think we talk about laws. We need a law for this and a law for that, and a law to create safety, and a law for everything. Um, but there are really only two laws that matter to human civilization. Number one is that you follow the non-aggression principle, and number two, you fulfill your contracts, whether written or verbal. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. You hold your promise. Um, if you tell, if a company says they're going to trade with this other company, well, they fulfill that contract. I think it's fairly straightforward. It's a fairly straightforward idea. It's a fairly straightforward concept. Um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to. Isn't this the one single combatant? Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to hear counterpoints. I haven't heard a good one. Um, I don't know if I've heard one that actually works for it. I mean, people have a different political values. Um, do we, giving welfare? Welfare is an interesting value. So if people are poor, instead of looking at why they're poor or what they could do to improve their situation, we give them money, which is fine. But that money then is almost a reward for being poor. And then that money comes from, other people. Like, we used to have a vibrant systems of charity, and you give money to that charity voluntarily. The charity is given incentive to be that charity is incented to help people, and um, it has an incentive to help people. It has um, yeah, the charity is an interesting concept. It's voluntary. It usually is better at helping people, um, because of its almost intimate relationship with those people. If you're a charity worker, you go to their home, you help the people, they come to you. What have you done to improve your life? And there's a gradual uh, steps towards improving your life. But a bureaucrat writing a check taken from people that didn't want to give the money, sent to the family or the person or the whoever that's receiving the check. There's no personal involvement. There's almost no um, there's almost no ostracism involved. Like, there used to be an idea that I'm not able to provide for my family, so it's a bad thing, and I should improve, and blah blah blah. But now it's kind of just part and parcel of life now, and I think that's kind of that's part of the problem, realistically. Um, People are not incentivized to make their lives better. So, but anyways, using political a political party to push an agenda, is fine. But when that agenda involves aggression against people to take their things and redistribute it to people who they don't agree with, um, I would argue again it's morally reprehensible. And not, I mean, you're not, it's not moral. Should we take care of people? Yes. Should we take care of people by pointing guns at other people to take their money? No. And so, if there's a single mother with 4 children and she can't pay her own bills, why should I care more about her children than she did? I think that's a very interesting point, and I'm not sure how one would argue opposite that. So, yeah, you can't care more about somebody else's kids more than they cared about them. And you shouldn't be forced to care about their kids more than they cared about them. So, that's kind of the basis of the non-aggression principle. So again, I mean, check out Stefan Molyneux. Check out his work. He is much more elegant at speaking than I will ever be. But if you enjoy some video games, come and hang out. We'll shoot the breeze and have a good time. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about on this first one back. I have a whole bunch of stuff lined up that I'd like to talk about. Why is he running away? That's fascinating. Okay, well, all right. Yeah, so I think we'll talk about this. I'll get some topics that are hopefully interesting to people, and we'll get some engagement going. I love to play video games. This is a good chance to kind of combine the things that I like and the things that I get involved with. Hmm. even sure how it's that far in his favor. That doesn't even make sense. I feel like I could kick the door in with the giant. Huh. Yeah, so let's see. What would be some stuff against the non-aggression principle? That's what makes it a first principle, though, because you can go back to it at the start. Um, it's, I mean, you can. It's the moral basis for so much. Um, that's why I think it's hard to contend with. Um, and at its base, it's so easy to understand for people, but I wonder. I watch these, March for Our Lives rally when really it's totally the opposite. You're marching to give up rights. You're marching for less rights, and I got to imagine it's the first time it's ever happened in America. I mean, it's happened elsewhere with horrible results. The Chinese marched to install a communist government under Mao Zedong, and he immediately turned around and slaughtered them all, 100 million people or something. So it's a staggering death toll that happens when people voluntarily give up their rights for safety. Um, oh, it's interesting. Yeah, let's give it a go. I don't know if orcs are can receive the non-aggression principle. Yeah, I mean, if somebody is violent towards you first, I mean, you have the right to be violent right back. It's so obvious, almost, which is incredible. Um, yeah, that's fascinating. So, yeah, I mean, how does it affect our lives? I mean, you know, obviously when we talk about um, we glorify violence in everyday things, but uh, the reality is we don't actually um, we don't actually use violence in our everyday lives. I mean, very normally. Um, yeah, we don't use it. We don't. Um, yeah, it is kind of abhorrent, um, really, when people focus on on violence as the answer. I mean, it is amazing that people believe that violence is somehow the answer. Um, you know, obviously it isn't. It shouldn't be. It can't be. Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the answer. It should never be the answer. It should never be. Um, yeah, but yet people will vote that way. They'll they'll say, yeah, we should take other people's stuff to get what we want. Um, and it's it's so like, and they're doing it from a part of kindness almost. Like it's kind to not. It's kind to take care of people. It's kind to, help them out. It's kind um, to assist people in need. I mean, it's kind to do all those things. And, like, of course it is. Of course it's kind. Um, but we shouldn't be doing it but through the use of force. We shouldn't be demanding that people lose their stuff so that others can have things. So, like, how do you provide value to people? You provide a service. How do you create growth? And how do you create wealth? You provide a service. Um, that's how you do that. So that's how you provide wealth and riches. You provide a service. Um, you enhance other people's lives. I mean, there's some people that have just done terrible things to get their money, and of course, I mean, of course that's bad. But there's other people that have worked their whole lives to create a business or to improve other people's lives, and so those people should be rewarded for their work and their effort and everything. So, and I think that gets forgotten a lot, and it's really a shame that we've kind of changed our culture so much to be so anti wealth almost. Like, I mean, yeah, if it's like it's voluntary. I mean, if somebody's voluntarily working for somebody or somebody's voluntarily being a part of something, then yeah, they're agreeing there. It's you can go find a different job if you don't like your job. Like if your employer is exploiting you, you go get a different job. Um, it's just it's so fascinating that we've kind of done away with that. I don't know when it became okay to not. I don't know when it became okay to be so against everything. Like it's unbelievable sometimes to even think about. So I haven't even been following that. Yeah, this battle went as easy as I thought it should. Um, I think people have forgotten a lot of the simple things or the things that make us make America great. Um, and it's kind of sad. It is eminently sad. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to bring this out. I wanted to get add my voice to the crowd. I think there needs to be more people talking and discussing. I used to debate politics online, and I can't anymore because it's kind of like the personal attacks. We say things online that we would never say to somebody that we're sitting across from, and it's almost like social media has made us less social. and the threats of violence over the internet. Like it's some pretty bad stuff in general. So, yeah, I think that's where we're left. We just took this town. Raise and defile. Oh wow. Loot and raise. Kind of need the loot. Yeah, let's raise and defile it. Yeah. Talk about non-aggression. Oh my gosh. This game is so good. Alright, but that's where we are going to leave it for this episode. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Yeah, I think this is good. It's a little ADHD, I think, switching between the game and the things and the topic at hand. But I appreciate you joining me. So until next time, have a good one.